is Elon Musk a socialist? Thoughts and Friends discusses.
So what did Elon Musk do, who's not a conservative? He opened up and said, hey, I want to tell you what's been going on. And the one thing I will let you know is if I suppress you, you'll know about it. And I'm not looking to suppress any free speech within reason.
And Brian, to your point, Elon Musk is not a conservative. You're absolutely right, because yesterday his Tesla pledged to honor China's core socialist values. He's not a conservative. He has said on Twitter that he's a socialist. Back in 2018, he said, by the way, I'm actually a socialist, not just the kind that shifts resources from the most productive to the least productive, pretending to do good while actually causing harm. True socialism seeks greatest good for all.
But he's not demanding his users be socialists.
I'm convinced.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Must be a socialist.
I was ready to shoot that down and debunk it, but they've convinced me.
Yeah, I'm convinced. He said it on Twitter, so it must be true. You know, it must be absolutely true. So I guess on to the next segment.
We're done here. Nothing else to say.
We're done here, obviously. So this is a great example of how words have lost their meaning. I mean, oh no, yeah, he's a socialist, but he's not the kind that shifts resources from the most productive to the least productive. That's not what socialism means, bro. That's not what that is. Okay.
There needs to be a requirement that when everybody declares someone or themselves a socialist, that needs to be followed, or I think preceded by an explanation. What is socialism? And you can have a meaning for yourself, I guess, but there's an actual definition of it, and you can't just apply whatever words for it. I can say that I am a Hollywood actor, an A-list celebrity. That doesn't fucking make it the case, right? I mean, words have meanings. Descriptors are important. And to say that the richest man on the planet is a fucking socialist as he busts up unions in his companies is a very bold statement, to say the least.
Bold or stupid?
Both.
Yeah. Pretty sure he has never actually heard the real definition of what a socialist is. Okay. And obviously he doesn't practice that because he doesn't allow his workers, his workers do not own the means of production. That's what that is. That Tesla workers do not own Tesla. Maybe they have a little bit of stock and, some stock options, which is actually pretty common when it comes to Silicon Valley, when it comes to some of these big corporations. That doesn't necessarily mean you own the company. You're not a shareholder that is making decisions, right? Like the board is, and those are the major shareholders. They make the decisions, and generally, Elon Musk, as the CEO, tends to make most of the decisions, especially when it comes to Twitter, who, by the way, is not a public company. He owns it himself, and so he's making all the decisions. And we see what happens. Which, by the way, great example of how meritocracy doesn't exactly apply.
Exactly.
Kind of a bullshit narrative.
I mean, it's not just that, Elon Musk's companies aren't democratic. We're talking about totalitarian companies, right? These are hierarchical, organized.
But they all are.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much like
he's
that.
not necessarily any different than anyone else.
Right.
But when you have accumulated so much wealth that you are at the tippy top of the world, that's not just that. Oh, it's not democratic. It's not socialist. You are the most capitalist. You've won the game. That's it. Highest score. You know what I mean?
The Monopoly board is yours.
Yeah.
You've got pretty much everything here. Park Place. What is it? Boardwalk Avenue.
You did it.
And yet there are people that can't even pass go and collect any money. That's what's going on here. And when you win the game, what happens? It stops. Everything stops and falls apart. You can't go any further. And that's unfortunately exactly where the United States is pretty close to being.
Yeah. To be fair, to be extra charitable, maybe Steve Doocy's operating off of the definition of socialism means Azan no house. So Hassan not buying a house is socialism. I can understand it from that perspective.
That must be it. Well, that makes much more sense. So I guess we can go back to our original assessment is, I guess they were right.
Yeah,
Elon Musk is
correct.
socialist.
Fact check, true. But he's also an asshole. So
Also true.